A woman walked into a pop-up clinic inside a rented beauty salon. She expected to be back in time for the afternoon school run. She was dead before the next morning. What went wrong was not a rare complication or an unlucky outcome. It was the predictable result of an industry that operates with almost no regulation. Do you know what is being injected into bodies near you right now? Alice Webb was 33 years old and a mother of 5 children. She underwent a non-surgical Brazilian butt lift procedure in September 2024. The treatment involved injecting large volumes of dermal filler into her buttocks. She died less than 24 hours later, becoming the first person in the UK known to die from this procedure. Her story has become a focal point in a growing crisis unfolding on British high streets every day. Can you believe how little legal protection you actually have? Cosmetic injectables were once associated with wealthy middle-aged clients seeking subtle anti-aging treatments. The industry has undergone a dramatic transformation over the past decade. Treatments such as dermal fillers and Botox are now marketed to a much younger audience than ever before. They are promoted as routine beauty treatments rather than serious medical procedures. Ashton Collins from Save Face explains how this shift happened so rapidly. How many more people need to be hurt before something actually changes? Social media and reality television drove this change in ways that few anticipated. The Kardashians, Love Island, and social media made it fashionable for younger women to want bigger lips, cheeks, and frozen faces. At the same time, injectable treatments became increasingly available from beauty salons everywhere. People might be getting their nails or eyebrows done and see these treatments as an extension of that same service. If you are under 35, you are very likely perceiving these treatments as beauty treatments rather than something medical. Are you being fully informed about these risks before you sign up? The result is that consumers focus on convenience, popularity, and price instead of safety credentials. In June 2024, Joanne went for a non-surgical BBL at a pop-up clinic in a flat in Essex. She considered it less risky than flying to Turkey for a surgical BBL. She just wanted a peachy bum, she says. 2 hours after treatment, she ended up in hospital with a life-threatening sepsis infection. That delay is not a glitch in the regulatory system. Can you believe it took years? She was injected with 1 liter of filler, nearly 2 pints of gel into her body. 2 years on, she still has visible scars on her thighs and buttocks from the treatment. She says now that she should have turned around and run away from that clinic. The UK is one of the least regulated markets for cosmetic injectables in all of Europe. Unlike many other European countries, anyone can legally train to inject dermal fillers and offer treatments to the public. How would you even know if what was being injected into you was genuine? There is no mandatory medical qualification required to pick up a needle and start injecting. No background check on training, experience, or competency is required by law. You can walk into a beauty salon across the country and have Botox the same day without a proper consultation. That should not be happening, but it does because there is very little enforcement of even the existing rules. Save Face has documented numerous cases of serious harm linked to cosmetic procedures across the UK. Will it take more deaths before real change finally comes? One patient was left unable to close her eyes following a botched eyelid surgery procedure. Another sustained perforated intestines during a liposuction operation performed in an unregulated clinic. Ashton Collins describes the scale of what her organization documents with disturbing regularity. It is so horrific that it sounds like some sort of horror film, she says. But these are procedures being carried out on high streets in towns across the country right now. Do you trust that real enforcement will arrive before more people get hurt? Dermal fillers are injectable gels, usually made from hyaluronic acid, used to add volume and shape to body areas. They are increasingly being used to reshape the buttocks, stomach, and thighs without any surgery at all. The non-surgical BBL involves injecting hundreds of milliliters of filler into the soft tissue of the buttocks. That is a large volume of foreign material going deep into your body under significant pressure. It carries real risks of infection, vascular occlusion, and sepsis that no reputable surgeon would ever minimize. Are you willing to accept those risks for the outcome you want? Ricky Sawyer described himself as Britain's biggest Brazilian butt lift injector. He appeared in court over dangerous procedures and was found not guilty of criminal charges. During his evidence he said he knew the procedures were dangerous and harmful to patients. While Sawyer can no longer practice anywhere in England and Wales, it took several years for this to happen. It took years to stop a man who openly admitted during court proceedings that he knew what he was doing was dangerous. Would you start making one of these changes today? That delay is not a glitch in the regulatory system. That is the system working exactly as designed, which is to say barely functioning at all. You do not just need to worry about unqualified practitioners. The products themselves being injected are often completely unregulated and unverified. Police in Northern Ireland seized more than 700,000 counterfeit and unlicensed medicines in 2023. Has your body been waiting for you to look up all day long? These included Botox products of dubious origin and unknown safety profile. In Glasgow, officers recovered thousands of pounds worth of dermal fillers, needles, and botulinum toxin products during a raid. Authorities have repeatedly warned about unlicensed and counterfeit products entering the UK market through various channels. Campaigners say enforcement is fragmented between councils, police forces, medicines regulators, and professional bodies. No single organization is responsible for keeping patients safe from cosmetic harm in the UK. Do you know what questions you should be asking before any injection? That means no one is actually in charge of fixing the problem when something goes wrong. Repeated warnings have gone unheeded for more than a decade now. Back in 2013, the Keogh Review warned that dermal fillers were a crisis waiting to happen. That warning was largely ignored by policymakers and the industry. The crisis arrived just as experts predicted it would, with Alice Webb as its latest tragic casualty. Do you think your clinic meets medical safety standards? There are some signs of progress, though change always comes slowly in regulatory matters. The Scottish Parliament passed legislation in 2025 restricting procedures like Botox and dermal filler injections. These will be limited to regulated clinics from September 2027 onwards. It will also become illegal to provide these procedures to anyone under 18 years old. In England, ministers confirmed their intention to introduce a nationwide licensing scheme in 2025. Would you recognize the warning signs of sepsis in time? The highest risk procedures will be prioritized under a proposed red category of treatments. These are expected to include non-surgical BBLs, facelifts, and filler-based body contouring procedures. But legislation must still be drafted and local authorities need resources to enforce any new framework effectively. Professor Rankin says there is broad agreement that some procedures really should be restricted to qualified healthcare professionals. Supporters of reform hope the proposed licensing scheme will eventually require both practitioners and premises to be licensed. Could your body handle a complication if one occurred? That would be a significant step toward closing the regulatory gap that has allowed this crisis to grow unchecked. But even if new rules are introduced, the challenge will remain of ensuring that existing rules are actually enforced. The problem is no longer a lack of warnings about what could go wrong. The problem is that warnings have piled up for over a decade with insufficient action to follow them. If you are considering any cosmetic injectable procedure, there are questions you must ask before anything else. Are you willing to accept those risks for the outcome you want? Your body is not a commodity to be reshaped by whoever holds a needle and a filling gun. If something goes wrong during an injectable procedure, the consequences can be permanent or fatal within hours. There is no undo button for sepsis or a vascular occlusion once the filler has been injected. The decision to put foreign material into your body deserves the same scrutiny as any other medical procedure. Ask questions, check credentials, and demand transparency before any procedure. Your body is not a commodity to be reshaped by whoever holds a needle and a filling gun. Your life is not worth trading for a peachy bum.